What's up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Backmarkers F1 Show. Glad to have everybody along as we're all back from our summer break, back once together again. And this is kind of a bittersweet episode, as we were kind of talking about before we got on the air. Of course, we were really happy that Formula One was back and the long layoff back at Spa at the Belgian Grand Prix. But obviously, there was the terrible and tragic events that happened on the Saturday during the F2 race. As Anthoine Hubert, the 22-year-old Frenchman, passed away from what was a really terrible accident on the top of Eau Rouge and Radillon. So, we're going to do the entire recap. We just wanted to start off the show by talking a little bit about Anthoine, as he was really an amazing young man, and we're going to get into all the other race events afterwards. But I think we speak for everybody to say that this race was kind of really hard to enjoy after Saturday.
Yeah, it was. It was a race of, kind of any single incident, you're always kind of on the edge of your seat, making sure, the drivers are okay. We saw Giovinazzi at the end have a pretty hard shunt, and he immediately the first thought runs through your head is, oh no, like, let's not have this happen again. But no, as you said, Chris, just such an unfortunate crash. I mean, if you break it down, just the way he gets, kind of slingshotted off the wall into the middle of the track and nowhere for the other cars to go is just, it's one of those ones that, could have been prevented. We will never know. That we will know maybe when the release comes out of the investigation. But it's a tragic racing incident for kind of everyone around the racing scene, and you saw support roll in from all around the racing world, Rallycross, the World Endurance Challenge, even in North America with IndyCar, and I believe NASCAR did something as well.
Yeah.
If something like this happens, it affects the entire community, and you saw everyone come together as one big family to help support the family and friends of Anthoine and bring him through this tragic time, and we can only send our prayers and condolences to his family and everyone affected, because it's the last thing anyone wants to see a race fan is a tragic like that.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that no matter what what you plan in terms of safety, accidents happen.
Yeah.
That's why racers are being paid the big bucks, and they're putting their life on the line every single day.
It's very hard. It's a very hard and tragic reminder, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's no matter how safe you make it, I don't think we'll ever be able to eliminate events like this, unfortunately. I could be wrong, and hopefully we are wrong.
Yeah, hopefully.
But
until they go VR.
until they just take the driver out completely, right?
Yeah.
But we thought that since the halo came in, obviously, that this was so safe, so foolproof, right? And this was just such a huge shock because, especially in F2, right? I mean, I don't even know if there was ever a death in the lower formulas. It's always been Formula One, and the most recent one being Jules Bianchi. And since then, so many more safety improvements have been made that every time we see these big accidents, like I was remembering Marcus Ericsson's accident last year at Monza. I mean, that's a massive crash, and he just walks away like nothing happened, and he's back in the car tomorrow.
And
So
Charles Leclerc last year too, as well, right? He had a pretty big crash.
yeah,
as
at this
well.
very track, right, with Fernando Alonso flying over the top. So we see these accidents, and we think that these guys are, not going to get hurt ever, but that's just not the truth, and it's still very, very dangerous. Like Lewis Hamilton said, I think that anybody who thinks that any type of racing is safe is completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you're traveling at 200, 230 miles per hour, yeah, these things can happen. So I'm not sure what the whole cause of the accident was. We don't have a lot of footage to go by for obvious reasons. I'm sure you guys saw the initial accident on the live feed, but afterwards, seeing the carnage, you didn't really want to see anymore after that.
No.
So
I watched it.
I was sick to my stomach.
I watched it once of like the 5 or 10 second clip, and I watched it one more time. I'm like, no,
yeah,
that's quite enough. Like it's brutal as soon as you look at it.
Yeah.
It made me sick to my stomach. And I mean, we also have to think of Juan Manuel Correa as well.
Yes,
through
yes,
this. I mean,
for sure.
what he's going through physically, mentally, fractured both legs, spinal injury, I believe he had as well. And obviously, the mental aspect of being in that crash, I'm sure is, if not more painful than his physical injuries, I would believe. And we have to think for him to have a speedy recovery as well, because he's another fantastic driver from the United States that can really, make it to F1 one day, and we hope that his recovery goes well from this accident, and he can come back and race once again at full power.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. The mental part of it is a big one as well, because they might be all competitors, but they're also all friends.
Yeah.
There's only a certain amount racing out there, so they all know each other fairly well.
And I think that's important. It's also important that it wasn't his fault.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
No.
We obviously don't know the whole details, but we're just assuming just from the footage that we've seen that it was the second impact that was most likely the fatal cause there. But these things happen in racing, and you can't blame just one person, especially in a situation like this. So very important that we all keep Juan Manuel Correa in our thoughts. And like I said, hopefully he'll be able to recover from this mentally. I think physically it seems like he'll be okay. It might be a long road ahead. He's just been moved to an ICU in the United Kingdom just today. So he's not going to be coming home just yet to the United States. So they're still taking really close care of him, which is good. But we'll see how he recovers. I mean, we've seen similar accidents when Alex Zanardi got hit by Alex Tagliani and lost both his legs. And thankfully, Alex Zanardi was okay after that, even though he was a double amputee. But when you look at what he went on to achieve in his life afterwards, was pretty remarkable.
Oh, just recently in IndyCar, I mean, Robert Wickens, the Canadian who was paralyzed last year in a scary incident in Pocono. And, he's still recovering from his spinal cord injury and starting to really get better now. And, it's just, you see this happen almost, it seems like, every year now. And it's very scary scenes to be watching this and knowing that, it could be tragedy right around the corner, and you don't know it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what the whole cause of death was and why the accident happened, because I think it's important to understand how safety will progress forward.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's to how much better can we get at implementing safety? I mean, is there a better way to angle that wall so that a car doesn't get slingshot into the middle of the track? Is there a better material that's used rather than tires to help that slingshot effect? Maybe something that's a little more cushiony to help keep that car as far away from the racing line as possible. Those are things that I think it really is what FIA and in racing in general will have to think about. This happened in NASCAR when Dale Earnhardt Sr. crashed into the concrete wall head first and unfortunately passed away from that crash. At Daytona, they implemented a safer barrier, which in sense is an aluminum wall with styrofoam in the middle between that and the concrete wall that creates a nice buffer, and you can see it flexes when the car hits it and absorbs a lot of the impact. And that was a huge safety innovation and has saved countless lives in NASCAR, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So something like that with the wall, you could always have safety implementations, and we'll see what happens. It wasn't too long ago we had Kevin Magnussen have a scary crash there.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, that was a massive impact.
And he was all right. That car, of course, stayed against the wall. So something to look at, Spa.
I mean, another driver you can look at is Kubica. 5 years ago, big crash, and he made it back for this year. So a lot of drivers have him to look up to in terms of coming back from a bad accident to this year. Sure, he's driving for Williams, but he's back, he's driving, and he's happy, he's doing what he can. So
yeah, I think it's psychologically is the biggest injury, if we could even call it that, right? Because I'm sure that he's going to feel some sort of guilt, even though he shouldn't. But that's just, I think, what's naturally going to come to his mind. But I'm also interested in terms of what they're going to look at the F2 monocoques, because are they strong enough to be able to withstand the first initial impact was probably strong enough to withstand something like that, but a T-bone in that situation, maybe we need to look at making the monocoque stronger. Would an F1 car, would we have different circumstances if it was an F1 car? Right. These are things that we don't know, and that the FIA is going to do a long investigation to see what it is. Like you said, maybe they need to make a bigger runoff there at Radillon or put gravel, something like that, because obviously the incident happened off racing line. But that's a tough corner, right? Because it's blind coming up the hill, so you don't have much time to react.
I mean, that's what makes it challenging as well. And that's what drivers love about it. Is it's one of the more one of the best corners to go up during the year. And again, I think there's nothing wrong with the corner. I think it's just maybe just try to implement a better system, a better crash system on the wall, because crashes are going to happen at that corner. It's one of the hardest corners in racing. It's just how they implement it.
Yeah, and a lot of respect goes to the F1 drivers as well that came out the next day, and they had the pre-race sort of minute of silence, and Anthoine Hubert's mom and his brother were there as well, and all the drivers paid their respects to him. But then also just to somehow get yourself into that space where you can get in a car and drive past the exact same place where 24 hours later a colleague of yours just lost his life doing the very same thing.
Yeah.
I think is something that we'll probably never understand, and I don't understand how they do it and how they did it. And this is kind of like our modern day when Senna passed away. This was somewhat similar circumstances where there was a death on Saturday, and then they had to come and race Sunday, and unfortunately it ended up even worse then. But just massive hats off to every single one of the drivers. And we talk all the time, and we sometimes joke at some drivers' expenses about them crashing or them not doing so well. But I think it's important for everybody to understand that all those 20 drivers are incredibly talented, and the guts and the bravery that they show to get in a car like that is just absolutely amazing. So we have a lot of respect for every single driver, and even though sometimes we maybe don't show it or you don't think so, that's not the case, and especially more so after this weekend. So that was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I think Charles said it best at the end. Doesn't feel great, but he took what he could from it. So
yeah, I hope he can enjoy it one day, a couple years down the road. It's not going to be his last win, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll be able to enjoy his next win a little bit better. But yeah, we're going to touch on Charles Leclerc kind of at the end of the show to wrap it all together. But he's quite the young man himself.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah, well, let's get into recapping the race. Obviously, like we said, it wasn't very enjoyable. After all the events, you just kind of were hoping that the race would be over. I think, Daniel Ricciardo said that too. He was just happy that it all ended and everybody was okay.
Was safe. No one got hurt.
Yeah, and we can move on to the next one. But it was a decent, solid race. I think there was a lot of action, a lot of great hard racing, which was a nice tribute, I think, to Anthoine Hubert, who was very similar in the way he raced. And it was fair. Obviously, we had some lap 1 incidents, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. The lap 1 incident between Max Verstappen and Kimi Raikkonen, obviously it ruined Verstappen and Raikkonen's race, but what did you think? Who do you think was at fault in that situation?
Well, I think the stewards have it right as a racing incident.
Yeah.
But personally, I don't think Verstappen should have shot for that gap.
I agree.
It wasn't there.
I was about to say the same thing.
I don't know where Raikkonen's supposed to go there.
Yeah.
He has a car that's outside, and he has to make the corner. So.
Max kind of went last second into that corner to try to make the turn happen.
And he almost had another launch this year with Raikkonen going over. I mean, he was close. He caught that car in on 2 wheels to keep it on all 4 wheels in the end, but it almost went over.
Ricciardo almost too. He got a little bit bumped. I think Perez, right? Perez or Stroll. I think it was Stroll. He was farther back. Yeah.
I think Magnussen had the best view of all the incidents in the first turn there.
Oh, Lando Norris had the best line of all of it.
Oh my God!
Jumped from
it opened up.
Oh yeah, that's true.
11th to 5th, just on that inside line. Nice and how are you? See you later. I think they're calling him the Salmon or something like that. Or he has a Salmon as his nickname right now.
He's probably got a lot of nicknames. He's got a lot of things going online.
yeah, he does.
Well, but no, I agree, Tyler. It's a racing incident, but I agree. I think Max took it a little bit too, not recklessly, but a little bit. I don't think he thought through his turn when he went into it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where you don't win the race on lap 1, and
you lose
maybe it toned back a little bit there.
I think he
set
was
it up for
just trying to secure the spot that he wanted to be in for the rest of this race.
For
and like
sure.
you said, it's the first lap. You kind of want to prove where you are.
It's Spa. The first lap at Spa, the first corner at Spa is always
a tough one.
Yeah, there's going to be contact somewhere.
And there was a second incident with Max and Kimi.
Oh my God,
that
was scary.
Dangerous as well.
Very dangerous.
He just clipped him, but he was going fast enough to hit him over there.
In the words of Kimi Raikkonen, the same fucking guy hit me.
I was watching that on board right before we went on, but I don't think so, Kimi. I think that one was you, but all right.
Well, I agree with you both. I think that Max was trying to make up for another poor start.
Yeah.
Which Red Bull has really got to figure that out because they've been struggling with that like crazy.
But Alex Albon had a good start.
Yeah,
he
look
didn't
who's
have a
around
bad.
him, though,
Yeah,
right?
but like
Well, Sainz stalled in front of him.
Well, that's true.
Great reaction, by the way, by Albon.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, really. Maybe, but it's different with each car, right?
Yeah.
The clutch settings and the clutch bite points and everything. But
Yeah.
that's like what in the last 5 races, probably
5
a
or
third
6,
kind of
yeah.
bogged down start like that, and then he just tried to send it on the inside. But I would agree. I think that Max saw Kimi, but Kimi didn't see Max.
Yeah,
So,
you can't during that if you're braking there and looking at the cars around you, and
yeah.
you're not expecting this Red Bull to come up your side when
My-
there's no room.
my question is, Kimi didn't know who hit him at first, but then the second time he said he was hit, he said the same car hit him again.
Well, I think Max was the only car behind him.
You probably saw the Red Bull livery,
Yeah.
I guess, but I don't think I've never really heard Kimi talk to or refer to drivers in
Yeah.
a team radio scenario. Like he'll just say, "Oh, it was this guy," or
Yeah.
It was
or
this
the
car.
or the
Yeah,
Force
that's
India
true.
hit
That's
me
a
or
good
something.
point. That's
yeah.
a good point.
Get that McLaren out of my way.
Yeah. Yeah. So and it ruined Raikkonen's race because he had a lot of floor damage. And
Yeah.
if you guys saw the best of team radio, he was coming. I think it was the safety car lap. He was coming around and he
Yeah.
was almost at the bus stop chicane.
Yeah.
And he's talking with his engineer. There's damage. They're gonna have to box. And he's like, he's almost at the chicane already. He's like, am I gonna box this lap? And then his engineer's like, yeah, come in this lap. He's like, fuck, man, stay awake. He's like, I need to know. I'm at the pit entry right
Yeah.
now. Like, let me know. So
Uh,
he had a great qualifying though.
oh, he did. You know,
And-
despite the floor damage, he overall had a pretty good race. Kept himself in
did.
it as much
Did
as
what
he
he could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
world champion.
and just on Max too. Obviously, very disappointing for all the Dutch fans who
It is a very
purchased
nice-
this hat.
Nice hat.
But yeah, I was surprised that Max carried on into Eau Rouge with essentially no steering.
I don't know how that was ballsy.
That was
Yeah.
very ballsy. You saw the replay and he
I was
had.
like, man, your car, I could see your wheels shaking.
Yeah.
How are you
Yeah.
going?
Yeah. It was pretty brutal, but yeah, I mean he sent it. That's all I can say.
We sure did.
You know what? It didn't look like that big of a collision in the end.
No,
He,
it
gracefully went into
yeah.
the wall.
Yeah, well, I think you tried to decelerate, I guess, as much as you
Yeah.
could. But yeah, it wasn't a big impact. Initially, it looked like it, but on the replay, it wasn't so
Yeah.
bad. But yeah, unfortunate for Max. But that's his first retirement in the last 21 races. So
first non-points finish in over a year.
yeah, which is an amazing stat, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
listen, I mean,
Excuse me. Sorry.
that's okay. These things I think are going to happen, and eventually that amazing run of form was going to end somewhere, whether
Yeah.
it was his own fault or another driver hitting him out. So it's just disappointing it happened in Belgium. He hasn't had the best luck at Spa. But one driver who I think had an amazing day was Alex Albon.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about him because it was his first race with Red Bull, and he starts on the back foot, right? He starts at the back of the grid because of engine penalties,
engine, yeah.
which was a good idea from Red Bull because
Which I believe neck for Italy, Max is going to be taking that penalty.
I think so.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. It's either that or they're maybe trying to do it a bit later in Russia or something
Mm-hmm.
because they want the new engine introduced in Japan for their home race,
Oh, okay.
for
yeah.
Honda's home
for
race, I
Honda's
guess.
home race, yeah.
But yeah, he starts at the back of the grid. Really struggled on the medium tire in that first stint of the race. He didn't really make too much. He was kind of stuck in that midfield battle with the Haas's and the Renaults. And then he pitted for the softs and just kind of flew through the rest of the
Yeah.
field to finish P5. And I was telling you guys about this. It was on, first of all, he had the best overtakes of the day, I think, in my
Oh,
opinion.
for sure, yeah.
But he was on the Kemmel straight, and I can't remember who he was overtaking. It might have been Ricardo. It might have been in that battle, but it's like 200 miles per hour, DRS wide open, one hand on the steering wheel, the other hand's ripping off a tear off on his visor, and he just goes right back to overtaking the guy, pulls
Yeah.
out behind him. It's crazy.
I mean, if that was the same situation, and not to crap on Pierre Gasly a little bit, but who had a good race.
I was going to say, he actually had a very
Yeah,
good race.
he was. I had to mention him too. He was great.
But I don't think Gasly would have got that result.
No.
I would agree.
I would agree. And like I said, Pierre Gasly had an amazing
He did
race.
have a great race.
But I think after I saw Alex Albon take over Daniel Ricciardo, I knew he had a handle on that car.
Yeah.
It's not easy to take over Daniel Ricciardo, and especially the way he did too.
Yeah.
So
At no name,
yeah,
apparently.
No
There's
name
no name
corner.
for that
There
corner.
is no name for that corner.
But that's a tough corner, yeah.
yeah,
He tried to go on the outside earlier, which, again, ballsy move.
yep.
Couldn't get it done, but he didn't quit. And, yeah, like you said, to overtake Ricardo is a pretty good achievement. And then his overtake on Perez on the final lap. Goes
Yeah,
on the
When it
grass.
goes on the
Very nice.
grass.
On on the Kemmel Straight again, 200 miles per hour, DRS open.
I don't know how he kept the speed.
Yeah,
No
that
idea.
was speed and control. I mean, you look back to Montreal with Vettel going off track and hitting the grass, no control whatsoever. But
Yeah.
I guess
Albon
he
made it
wasn't
look
really
easy.
turning. He was just going straight. But I mean,
So
still.
he turned onto it and came back on.
That's
though,
true,
right?
yeah, that's true.
So
He just made his own track.
yeah.
He's like, I need more room, so let me just go on the grass.
It was a
Yeah.
good battle with those two. Two great racers as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Perez had a really good race until the very end there, which is unfortunate.
I was impressed by his performance.
you know,
I
he
mean-
didn't like his performance.
No, I said I was impressed.
Oh,
I don't even know why I try to be funny on the show.
But
I'm
he's
here
the
all
only
week.
I
he's
see
the
it
only
now.
driver that's signed on for Racing Point next year. So
Now you're joking.
well, I mean, yeah,
That's
he's
why I
also.
s-
I think
that's why I said in quotes.
I think
Right.
he's the only driver signed in 2023 or 2022, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I think
3 years.
2023.
Really?
I think. Who else signed the 3-year contract? The 3-year contract's massive at F1.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
so long.
he's got money, right? So
Yep.
that's why Racing Point signs him on, so
But
they can get that
I
sponsorship
think it's gonna
money.
be him and Stroll for the next
I do
4
too.
years.
I
You're not gonna
no,
see
I
a driver
agree.
change
I
there.
mean, Lance
No.
Stroll's there for life.
If he wants to.
Well, unless he gets a Mercedes seat, then I'm sure.
Yeah, unless they.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I always thought would be. What
It'd
would
be-
happen in that case? Because obviously his dad, Lawrence Stroll, has put in so much money into Racing Point.
Well, I think you
Would
gotta
he
keep it
continue?
going. I think so.
Yeah.
Because then he can join it back after when he gets cut.
Yeah, you can join it back afterwards.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna last more than 5 years at Mercedes.
And if Lance Stroll wants to be the better driver, I think Mercedes would probably be a right move for him rather than just stay on Daddy's team and hope for the best. You know.
Well, and let's also commend Lance Stroll for a good race.
Yes.
P16 to
He
P10.
He did
He
have
did.
a very good
Something-
race.
I have an asterisk on everyone below on P5 and below's position though because of what happened to Lando Norris because he drove such a fantastic race. It was a
Yeah.
boring race for him, but a great race just to keep for some reason no one could catch he was just slow enough to be not near the front runners but just fast enough to be completely
See,
blown away from the rest of the field. It's really weird.
I have a couple of things to say about this, but you can finish.
I was just gonna say P5. I mean, I still give him P5.
I would give him P5. My complaint is I didn't see Lando Norris all race. I saw him in the first 3 laps.
But that's because of
He
that
wa-
reason.
Yes, he was doing really well, but I want to get updates on Lando Norris if he's the only McLaren driver driving for that race.
I guess.
And 2, sure he got driver of the day. Again, I didn't see him drive all race. I personally think the driver of the day should have gone to somebody else.
Yeah,
I'd
agree.
Albon, but
I
would-
agree,
or
Alex
Danny
Albon
Kvyat.
or Charles Leclerc.
well,
Yeah.
Danny Kvyat, I would have been fine with too.
Yeah.
I
That
don't
was
think- I
those were my only complaints. He did fantastic. Like you said, the fact that he stayed in that P5 position, in between the race leaders and right ahead of the midfield. Good for him. He had an unbelievable drive, especially of Carlos Sainz going out in the second or third lap.
First, they didn't
First
make the
lap-
first corner.
No, he made it just very slowly.
Yeah, very slowly.
He
Yes.
went around just for.
He did not crash on the first.
He did 2 parade laps.
No, I think he ended basically pretty much right at the end of the first.
Yeah, I think so
first,
too.
First lap.
But yeah, no, I felt for Lando Norris. Just the second last lap for your car to fail, your engine to fail,
Yeah.
and then not
Yeah,
get
it's
any
tough.
results whatsoever.
He just had such a soft no on team radio as well.
But how did he word it? He was like,
No.
the thing that's supposed to give me power isn't giving me power or something like
Something
that. It was funny.
Like even when
So
he's
get to the finish line, I fucking can't.
Yeah.
like even when he's not he's serious in the car panicking, he's
Um,
still a meme.
Yeah.
Dude, I
It's
can't.
still,
I can't
like,
take him
It's
seriously.
unbelievable. It's
Can't believe he's an F1 driver.
I know this guy's an inspiration.
Yeah. Agreed.
I love Lando Norris.
Oh, no,
and
he's-
he's slowly becoming my favorite driver
He-
on the grid.
I think this year he has become one of my favorite drivers just because he's got such a good personality when it comes to doing shittily on the track. If he's doing really bad, he'll have a good humor about him, and when he's doing really well, he's got a good humor about him.
Yeah.
And, to bring that in as one of the youngest drivers on the track.
Can I see what his tweet was for?
It's a win-win.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's so different though because he is professional, but
Oh, for
there's
sure.
got that silly side to him.
Oh,
that
yeah.
he always shows.
It's
which
like Daniel Ricciardo. He does have that serious side with him.
yeah.
But he is definitely more silly. But I think Lando Norris has found the balance of both.
I'll say this right now. Here's one team Lando Norris will never drive for. Ferrari.
No, never.
Could you imagine him in a Ferrari?
Way too serious from a team.
Yeah.
him.
That'll be the wrong combination.
For some reason, if you go on Lando Norris's Twitter, his tweet is freshly caught salmon packed up and ready for Monza. Then he said, "Thanks for your salmon of the day votes, by the way." And I think the salmon is his car, but I don't know why.
Because of the color.
So I'm trying to, but it's orange.
I have no idea what's going on.
People would consider that salmon.
Yeah,
Did you see the Carlos
science poster?
Science
poster. Yo, good for that fan though. He got it signed by the entire McLaren
that was
team.
Cool.
It was really well done.
Yeah, anyways, his Twitter's just it's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a fun guy.
There's also
I didn't get to finish the video, but it's they interviewed a bunch of drivers for the Monza preview, and I think his thing was just like no reporters need to worry now. Me and Carlos have gotten all the previews for the next one, and it's
yeah, yeah, that was hilarious.
I didn't get to finish the full video. I want to see all of it. It looked pretty funny. It's just basically them screwing around on camera.
He did retweet it, so it is on his Twitter.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Another since we're on the topic of Twitter, I know we're a little off topic, but just one to follow is I think it's called incorrect F1 quotes or something like that.
Oh, isn't it like isn't it Ted Kravitz like a?
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
It's called incorrect F1 quotes at Grid Talks, and it's hilarious. It's literally just like. The thing is, overheard it in the paddock, probably not, but you get the gist of it. And it's just like funny conversations that could happen. For example,
the one with Ricardo and the seagull.
No, this one. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. So Lando, this hasn't happened, but it's just the tweet is saying, Lando, when I told you oh jeez, wow, when I told you to bring me back something from the Australian beach, I meant like a seashell or something. Daniel's struggling to hold down a seagull. Well, you didn't fucking say that. Like,
I could probably see that actually happen between them, though.
Yeah, just silly things, like silly little quotes, and obviously they're not real, but they're hilarious. You can picture them happening.
Can we have a fan vote to have Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris on the same team next year?
I think it needs to happen.
Yeah. Or at some point.
But him and Sainz are so good together.
Yeah, they are really good together.
Yeah, Sainz is a really funny guy, too.
Yeah, Sainz is a really funny guy. But yeah, no, I really want to see them on a team together. And I just want to hear. I don't even want to watch the race. I just want to hear the team radio.
But I don't want them to like have a confrontation as a teammate. Then it's not fun anymore.
They won't. They'll just do it on Twitter.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, completely off topic.
I don't even know where we were, but
Lando Norris
P5.
P5
Good race. Unfortunate that the engine blew, but. I mean, you're driving a Renault. It's going to happen eventually, you know?
It's true.
They have not been good this year. And Mercedes engines weren't good this week as well. We saw 2 blow-ups, I believe, with the new upgraded engines. Lance Stroll.
Well, they blew up Kubica so that they could repair Hamilton's car. Had more time.
I think that was planned
They just pushed the button. They're like, no, we're not going to make it. Just hit the button.
I think that was planned as well. It was way too...
Like that smoke was a little excessive.
For that car to break down at that time.
There's a lot of smoke, too.
That happening to Lewis, I don't know, it's conspiracy theories.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, they like 2 massive blowups. So I'm sure they were a little worried going to the race, and I don't know where their engine situation is headed to Monza. But again, another power-heavy track that they're gonna have to.
Have they put in a new engine at all this year?
Yeah, that was the new upgraded one.
Yeah,
that's failing.
And they were still behind Ferrari quite a lot on the straight.
20 kph, I believe. 20 kilometers an hour.
It's a lot. So yeah, they thought they were going to claw that back, but they really didn't.
No, not at all.
Their race pace was a lot better than Ferrari's, which Ferrari still has to address because they almost lost the race that way. And before we get to that, just quick shout out. We talked about Pierre Gasly just a couple minutes ago, but I thought he had a great race in my opinion.
Oh, I agree.
He raced hard, and
I think that was his best race this year.
Yeah, probably. Maybe
except for
Monaco, maybe. I think Monaco he had his highest result at Red Bull. But yeah, I think
in terms of like pure like racing, I think he had one of them. That's probably one of his best races.
I would agree. And as much as we talked about how Charles Leclerc was so good under the circumstances, also Pierre Gasly was very close with Anthoine Hubert as well. So Pierre Gasly was racing incredibly hard and really well. So a shout out to Pierre Gasly, the way he was able to, put his car. Was he in the points? No, he wasn't in the points, was he?
He was P10?
P10? P9, I think, right?
P9 maybe? Here, let me pull
Kvyat
it
was
up right now.
P8. I believe he was
Kvyat was P7, so
Oh.
Because everybody moved up, right?
Lance Stroll was
Right.
10th, and so Gasly, I think, was either 8th or 9th. We'll just have Shaker confirm, but
Sorry.
yeah, he was really good in my opinion. A lot of good overtakes, stuff that we really didn't see at Red Bull, but you went back to the Toro Rosso days, really.
No, he did race well. So I mean, hopefully that's a confidence booster for him going forward, that he can build on that, go to Monza, which is Toro Rosso's home Grand Prix, and maybe we'll have their second or podium of the year. Who knows?
Double podium.
Double podium for Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
Pierre Gasly was 9th.
There you
Nico
go.
Hülkenberg was 8th.
So he got moved up as well too. With all those, with Lando Norris
And Giovinazzi crashing.
Yes.
Well, like I
on the
knew,
last lap.
so when I watched on tape delay, and I knew that the only thing I knew about the race was that Charles won, and that Racing Point had a double points finish. And like we're going to the last lap, and I'm like, Lance Stroll's 12th. What is happening in this race that like he gets
Something's going down.
What's going to happen? And then I saw like the crash and Lando. I was like, oh my god! I was like, as if like that's just crap. And I was like kind of hoping that like it goes, because I figured that he would have to get bumped up 2 spots. So I figured there was a crash or something would happen. And I was like kind of hoping like I hope like
Wait, what?
Lewis and someone get together, and then Lando Norris gets a podium.
Okay, I'm kind of confused by this. Maybe this is just their website. But Lando Norris has a DNF, but he still placed in 11th place. How's that possible?
So he's classified, but he didn't finish the race.
But he
Yes.
So you can be classified as if you finish a certain amount, but you can't. Like not enough. So he crossed the line.
But with 1 lap to go, yeah.
Right, but then the leader crossed the line. So anyone finishing behind the leader, the race is over for him.
Oh,
So Lando's
right,
ahead of
okay.
them.
Yeah, so
I
I think that's
see.
why he had to crawl over the line.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, I see.
Whatever power he had left.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay,
So
I
yeah,
did not know that. That's
yeah,
something new I
there's-
learned today.
Fun fact of the day.
Okay.
there you go. Okay, so I think what else? We just talk about Renault quickly. As I'm looking at the hat. Disappointing day, I think, for Renault. They
Again.
put Ricciardo. I mean, obviously Ricciardo got contact in the first lap, and then they put him on this ridiculous one-stop strategy. Which I think what he did, like 40 some odd laps on the medium tire, which was not a smart decision at all.
No, I mean he was dead in the water at the end of the race.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I think he told the team that too. He was like, "What is this?"
yeah, and it was the same thing with Haas too. They just kept getting overtaken and overtaken and overtaken.
Yeah.
The race
Grosjean was
pace.
hilarious.
Oh, he was great.
Hey, I cannot. I cannot. We're losing 20 kph.
He's
I
ready to
cannot.
go.
Yeah, it was.
He knows he's done. All right, so moving
guy.
on, I wanted to talk about the race lead, the battle for the lead, and Ferrari. What happened with Sebastian Vettel this weekend? It all looked like it was going to be a Ferrari 1-2, trying to equal Mercedes' record of 1-2 finishes in F1. And kind of right from the get-go, we saw that he didn't have the pace. He got overtaken on the first lap.
At first, I thought, okay, maybe he has a flat spot after he locked up, and that was causing him the straight line deficit. But as the race progressed, it was just like there's just something's not right there. So yeah, I don't know what happened with him, because he has had a few good races in the last 2-3.
Yeah.
And then this race kind of getting back onto his post-summer break slump he usually gets on, which is very weird. So I'm not quite sure what was wrong with him, but disappointing that he finished 4th. It should have been probably a 1-2 for Ferrari.
Should have been.
But if he didn't finish 4th, where do you think Charles would have ended up? Because Charles wouldn't have kept first place if Sebastian didn't do what he did for Lewis Hamilton.
Right. What do you mean? Well, depends. If Vettel finishes 2nd, then
Do you think Valtteri would have caught up more because of it, though? Would it be another Mercedes 1-2 finish and then Charles Leclerc in 3rd?
no, I don't think so.
Probably would have been Hamilton first,
It would have been,
Leclerc second.
yeah, it could have been that as
I
well.
don't know. I think it would have been the other way.
Do you think it would have been
I
a
I think
double?
Charles would have been. I think it would have been a Mercedes 1-2 finish if Sebastian didn't do what he did.
I think it's possible.
I think Valtteri would have put him on more of a run because he knew he could have gotten to 2nd place.
Right.
working with Hamilton, and I think it would have been a Mercedes 1-2. But these are big ifs. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Yeah, obviously Seb played a good part in
Yeah.
helping Charles by holding Hamilton back a little bit there by maybe half a lap.
I think if he stopped maybe 2 or 3 laps beforehand, I think Charles would have gotten second for sure.
How funny was it seeing Vettel play the Kimi Raikkonen role?
He did play the Raikkonen
He did play
role.
the Kimi Raikkonen
For
role.
What? Maybe the first time in years?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, he played it a few times this year, but I think this time is the only time he didn't really have a choice.
But it was I just felt that the strategy almost from the start was that Vettel was going to be the block between Leclerc and Mercedes. Like there wasn't one point, even at the beginning of the strategy where Vettel came out ahead, it didn't really look like that strategy was going to be the one to win him the race.
Yeah.
It all just seemed like it was being played out for Leclerc, which is what happened with Kimi and Sebastian for the last couple of years.
Well, I think a few laps in, they probably realized nothing was getting better for Vettel at that point, and they were just kind of just let Charles go ahead.
You also have two different strategies, right? You run a split strategy and see what works, and in this case, it was Charles that worked. But if it would have been the opposite, where Seb's strategy was unbelievable, and keeping Charles out was not a good idea, let's say, if roles were reversed, then you have Seb. We're talking about Seb winning this race.
Yeah.
So you do have those split strategies that get taken into account.
I just don't think Vettel ever had the pace to contend for the race win. I think it's just, again, it's the underlying problem with him struggling with this car. This version of the Ferrari car in 2019 suits Charles Leclerc, and it doesn't suit Sebastian Vettel. I mean, it's not like Sebastian Vettel's forgotten how to win races.
No.
I mean, it was just last year. He won multiple races, got pole positions. It's just that this car hasn't been designed well enough for his style, and for Leclerc, he's able to get over it a lot easier. Which brings me to my next question, and a lot of people were asking this online. Is Leclerc now the number one driver at Ferrari?
No.
You don't
No.
think so?
No.
I'm not talking forever for the next couple of years. Like right now at this point in the season.
No.
Interesting.
I
would
think-
disagree.
I think it's still
It's
a call.
4-time world champion,
Yeah.
man.
And right now, I'm pretty sure Vettel's still ahead, isn't he, in terms of points?
I think he's still ahead in the standings.
So I think they're close enough that Ferrari's going to try to get them, try to see whoever's ahead and try to get them the first place points. I don't think they've chosen a number one driver for their team this year.
I would say that you have to, at this point, designate somebody as your number one. And right now, Leclerc has delivered the results where Vettel hasn't. And when you look at the pole positions, it's 3-1. Race wins, it's 1-0. Obviously, you could argue, again, the whole Canada thing. That's always...
1-1.
Yeah,
buddy,
1-1, right?
1-1.
But we won't go down that road again. But I think that the way that this car has been set up for Ferrari in 2019, Charles Leclerc is their best option to get them race victories, to get them the most amount of points. That's not to say I think Vettel can still win races this season and he can still contribute to the team, but the last 6-7 races or so, I've just seen Charles Leclerc been able to produce more than Sebastian Vettel because, again, I look at this race and I say that should have been a 1-2 for Ferrari. Had it been Mercedes, that would have been a 1-2. They always guarantee their 1-2s, whereas with Ferrari, it always seems like a problem. Even though they did get the strategy right, surprisingly, I don't know how they managed to do that.
First time this year?
First time in the last couple of years, right? But I think Leclerc has done enough to prove that, hey, like I've got a race win, Sebastian Vettel doesn't. Now, not disrespecting that he's a 4-time world champion. We're not just going to kick him to the curb. But right now, I think that Leclerc is their best chance of winning races and fighting Mercedes. That's just my opinion.
I don't know. I think it's one of those options that Sebastian Vettel, man, he can turn it on when he wants. So I think that once he gets a grip, you're gonna see Sebastian Vettel once again. That's gonna be one of the dominant figures, one that's challenging for a world championship.
I hope so, and we'll get more into it in our Monza preview. But look at qualifying as well, though, too. Vettel had to wait. He wanted the slipstream in traffic. Leclerc just said, get me out on the track. I've got enough pace on my own to get pole. And he finished, 7/10 ahead of Sebastian Vettel? That's a little bit of a concern, right? So that's when I look at these things and I say, if Ferrari want to win more races this season, they have to designate their strategies more to Charles Leclerc because he's getting the most out of this car. I'm not saying he's a better driver. Sebastian Vettel, to me, is still the better driver than Charles Leclerc. I mean, that's an obvious. And I think if we were in 2018's car, I think Vettel would have a pretty decent advantage over Leclerc. But I think that the way the situation is now, he's done enough to prove that he is the number one at Ferrari, and that going forward in the rest of the year, he should get the favored strategy like he did in this race.
Fair enough.
Fair
That's
point. Fair point.
And that coming from me, who Vettel is my favorite driver. So
that's true.
I had to be honest. He agrees.
Vettel
I'm just
agrees.
kidding. Yeah, but I mean, good for him though, for Sebastian Vettel to be able to play that second driver role this weekend and essentially get Charles Leclerc his first win. He was a big part of that, like you said. So I was impressed. So yeah, before we go, we wanted to just touch on Charles Leclerc, and it kind of all ties into what we were talking about at the top of the show. Obviously, we know Charles was close with Anthoine Hubert, but not just Anthoine. I mean, when we look at what this guy's been through, 21 years old, he lost his father 2 years ago, went on to win that F2 race in Baku, lost his godfather in 2015. Obviously, we know Jules Bianchi, and now this happens again. And you got to ask yourself, how much can? I mean, he's not a kid, but he's a young man. He's only 21 years old.
But he's very mature. Like, I mean, just the way he handled the whole weekend and kept his emotions in check, and I mean, through the media and everything, it was like, this is a veteran inside of a young man's body, just mentally. He's just so good at bringing himself into his own, and trying to bring keep the outside out and keep his focus inside. And I think it's just the way he handled everything was world class, and what every young aspiring athlete should look up to in terms of having a mental game toward where you are in your career.
I don't know how he does it. And just on a week-to-week basis, he gets a ton of media attention.
Yeah,
when you look on the grid, how many photographers and cameramen are just in his face. And like I said, for a 21-year-old to be able to handle all that, and he's always calm. He doesn't push people away. And even after going through all this, he steps into the car and then delivers what was probably one of his best drives of the season to get his first win. So I don't know how he does it. And he's a future world champion and a multiple-time race winner in the making, that's for sure. But I think we got to give a lot of credit to Charles Leclerc and whoever that molded him to be the man that he is today, whether that was his parents or other influences, was pretty incredible. Because, I mean, if he can go through all this and still perform at this level, I mean, he's almost indestructible, it seems like.
Yeah, it's impressive, and I think it's going to be something that F1 fans will be very lucky to watch down for years to come, is his growth in the sport, and what will kind of fruition as a rivalry between him and Max, and whoever comes up to challenge those guys as well. I mean, we talk about him and Max, but of course there's lots of young talented drivers that are coming up throughout the grid in F2 and F3 and in the small parts of F1 as well. So future is bright in F1, and we're going to have to just be taking it all in and enjoying the performances that we have and seeing these young drivers grow into world champions down the line.
Yeah, I think he earned a lot of new fans this weekend for sure with his performance. So hopefully all the drivers will be recovered and ready to go for this weekend in Monza.
Quick turnaround, another back-to-back.
Yeah, very quick turnaround, and also F2 returning in Monza as well. So very interesting to see how those races will play out and how the drivers will deal with all that, because in a way it's almost a bit harder to deal with it a week later because all the adrenaline has worn off and you've had some time to think about it. So definitely everybody's still kind of in this period of mourning for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that we just wanted to dedicate this episode to Anthoine Hubert, and not just him, but also all the other drivers that have lost their lives doing what they love and pursuing their dreams. And we're running the Racing for Anthoine logo or sticker on our channel for the rest of the year. I thought that was a really nice touch from all the teams.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were saying amazing how quickly they were able to turn around all those stickers, and they were on a lot of cars and helmets.
I hope whoever that sticker shop was in Belgium, I hope they asked for a premium for that.
Yeah.
That was a big turnaround.
That was impressive.
Yeah. It was on.
Good
it was
for
everywhere.
them. Good for them. Obviously, it's a big one to support. So.
Yeah. No, it was nice touch from all the drivers and all the cars to run that, and of course Charles had a special kind of logo on his car, and the back of his steering wheel for the camera. So Very nice, and of course we're honored to put that sticker on our YouTube banner for the rest of the season, and remember the tragic life of Anthoine, whose career and life was cut way too short to a driver that definitely had F1 aspirations.
Yeah, almost like half the drivers' race with him. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, but his memory will live on, and we'll try to do our best to always remember him and the others as well. And one of the best ways is, like all the drivers said, just to keep on racing.
Yeah.
And so that's what they did, and that's what we do as well. So
that's going to be a special one for Charles, for sure. And he's going to be holding on to that one for a while, too. So
absolutely. It's one that he won't forget for multiple reasons. But we'd like to thank all of you for listening to this episode of our podcast, recapping the Belgian Grand Prix. Let us know your thoughts down below of the race, of the incidents that we talked about, and anything else that was on your mind from the Belgian Grand Prix. We'd love to hear from you. And, yeah, like you said, Tyler, quick turnaround. So we got the Italian Grand Prix preview dropping in the next couple of days, as long as our power rankings post-Belgian Grand Prix.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of videos.
All right. Are we good?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Thanks again, everybody, and see you in a couple days' time.